And part of that is actually a control issue, which, we'll get into that
I have the
another
same
time.
problem.
Hello, and welcome to the Strong and Sober Podcast, episode number 30. My name is El Matty of Ding Dong, and joining me as always as my beautiful, radiant, red-faced co-host. He watches the Super Bowl for the football. Who does that? Mr. Lucas Weaver.
Yo, what
How's
a
how's it going, Luke? How's your week been?
I am doing very good. Just a couple minor little inconveniences, but uh I can't complain. It won't do me any good.
No, exactly. I always say I can complain. I'm just not going to. And plus it's the minor inconveniences that make us stronger because it's the things that we have to deal with on a daily basis that actually build character. So,
How
you
are
know,
you? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I started the week strong, doing all my workouts and everything. And then I finally got to go to that El Veganito place.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
the problem is I ordered way too much food and I did it about 2 hours before we had hot yoga.
Oh my
So I felt like I was going to puke the entire class. It was a miserable, awful experience.
God.
And then, I had a bunch of ad work to do over the week. So I was like, I'm going to go to the gym afterwards. Ad work ran long. So, long story short, I ate too much and worked out too little. And that kind of leads into the topic of today's show because part of the reason I eat too much is because I'm trying to comfort myself. So, the theme of today's show is about how comfort is the real addiction. So most people think that they're addicted to alcohol or drugs, or if you're me, food. But the longer I've been sober and training and eating like I'm dying tomorrow, the more I start to realize that I think the real addiction is comfort, not feeling uncomfortable, not feeling bored, not feeling stressed. The substance isn't the addiction, the comfort is. So that's the topic of today's show. And actually, there is a scientific research showing that the brain prioritizes relief over pleasure. So we don't always chase happiness, we're chasing the removal of the discomfort.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense. I mean, yeah, just comfort kills, bro.
well, and think about it, realistically. So, you've talked about part of the reason you started drinking was to fit in, right?
Yeah.
And to kind of get rid of that feeling of not belonging, to try and make yourself feel more comfortable. So right there off the bat, you were trying to remove the uncomfortable situation in your life and find a way to deal with it.
Yeah, and I didn't think about that until you brought it up, and that does make complete sense.
Yeah, and I mean the more you look at your own life, I don't mean your life specifically, but I mean the more we look at our collective lives, you'll realize that the reason we do a lot of that stuff is to get rid of the uncomfortable thing. People cheat on their partner because they're unhappy in their relationship and they can't deal with that. So they're searching for comfort and validation in the arms of another. I feel uncomfortable or stressed, so I wind up eating. And before I used to turn to weed or to alcohol or other things like that. So realistically, addiction is relief seeking in one form or another. And when I look back, addiction wasn't always about wanting to destroy my own life. It was about wanting relief from stress, relief from boredom, relief from emotions. And regardless of what the substance is, it's doing the same job, and that's quieting the noise. All right, lost my video there. It's all seeking an escape. So some people do it through exercise. So I mean, just because it's good for you doesn't mean it can't be an addiction. You get the people who are in the gym 7 days a week, no rest days, they're counting every single macro, and they may be doing it to reach a more positive end, but it's an addiction, it's an obsession. It could be hiding a secret body dysmorphia where they think that they are too fat or too small or could be bigger or something along those lines. Whether it's alcohol or weed or meth, we're all running from something, and the thing that we're running to is the addiction.
Even if it's just scrolling on your phone, I've noticed for me, like that's my biggest. Well, I've been using my phone as my recently as my biggest comfort and comfort zone, and I just got to get off of it, man. It leads to boredom, which leads to vices, which leads to well, not vices. Well, food could be a vice, but yeah, it's just my phone has really been in my hands most of the last 2 months, and I need to stop that.
So let me ask you this. How often do you open Instagram?
Well, I'll be honest with you. My screen time is like 6 hours right now,
In a day?
and that's
Wait,
like
your Instagram screen time or your
just,
screen?
just screen time on my phone,
Oh
just
yeah.
total screen time.
Like
But I mean, I'll turn on my phone and Instagram will still be like open, you know. So and then it just starts the scrolling there. The phone it's not as talked about as it should be, but it's I mean it could mess with your depression, it can mess with your anxiety, it can make you think about the future, it can make you think about the past, like and it could just make you chill on your butt on the couch for hours. Like it's for me that's my biggest issue with comfort. And I mean I see it and I acknowledge it. I just I gotta figure it out.
it's funny that you actually mentioned the phones because that's something that I've been dealing with without like I'm not personally dealing with it and I'm not really taking any steps to fix it, although I keep telling myself I'm going to. But a thing that I've been experiencing is, my wife and I will be sitting and watching TV, and even though we pay for these services, we get commercials all the time now. And as soon as there's a commercial, I pick up my phone and I'm looking at Instagram, I'm looking at TikTok, I'm looking at, email or something like that. And she's constantly telling me to put down my phone and learn to live in the boredom. And this is a thing right there. The boredom is discomfort for us, or just the idea of engaging with conversation with people, even loved ones, can be discomforting for people. So, in order to fill this slight boredom, the show that I'm watching is gone for 3 minutes, sometimes even less. Sometimes it's a 30-second ad, and I will still grab my phone because that bit of inconvenience, that bit of disruption in what I'm doing is uncomfortable. And I need something to continue the positive drip feed of dopamine in my brain.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I feel that like when I'm scrolling like continuously, I'll feel the dopamine hit, and then I'll keep scrolling it, making like hoping to like get the same type of video I was watching before, and it's I could feel it, and then next thing you know, I'm scrolling down, and I'm like I've been scrolling for like 15 minutes straight. And it's just I have to catch myself, and I'll notice that like and then just scrolling back up to the top, like you realize how long you've been doing it, and it's wild, bro. Like it's crazy. Like, it is a drug. It absolutely is. The phone is. Well, it's a dopamine release, which technically I would say is a drug.
Well, what feelings do you feel like you're trying to quiet when you grab your phone and just start scrolling?
Like I'm into like the what I've been into a lot lately is like Alan Watts and like physics and just spirituality type stuff. And then, like when I would get like a little like when I would like oh because we don't know what's gonna happen, right? With anything, like with our lives. But like I kind of like feel like I'm kind of like open like solving a puzzle when I start like what is it, researching that type of stuff. And then like so I'll be like, oh, this could, so I'm trying to like I'm trying to figure out why I exist, and like I've been doing like
Mhm.
it's kind of been obsessive lately. Well, not lately, but so I'll like kind of get like a feeling of where I'm like, oh, that makes sense, and then I'll like just because I thought of it, then my whole scroll will just be what I just thought of because your phone reads your frequencies, and then it's like it's like giving you more and more of what you're hoping to get, and then it just leads to like an endless like
So in other words, you think about your own mortality
yeah,
or your why we're here. You
yeah.
get this sense of existential dread, and then you go on your phone to try and solve that problem, or at least get your state of mind out of the negativity of why am I here? Do I matter? What is the meaning of all this?
Like I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm dying or anything. I get like just weird like just like I feel like I kind of know and then I don't know and then it's just I it's hard to explain. Like it's the whole point of it. No one's ever gonna know until you're done. So it's just living
Well,
to
I mean, so neurologically, relief hits the brain faster than joy does. So removing the pain or discomfort gives you an immediate reward signal, which is
yeah.
why habits often or that numb us tend to form so fast. So grabbing your phone, especially in a moment where you're wondering, why am I here? What is the reason for all this? Grabbing your phone is instantly numbing you from that. Even if you're deep diving that topic, it's taking your brain off of the idea that there is this thing that's making you uncomfortable. And so that's why it becomes a habit so quickly. Me
Yeah.
grabbing my phone during a commercial, I'm I'm worried about being bored for that brief second. I've made no mistake about how busy I am all of the time. I was telling you before we even started this about a new project that I'm doing while I'm on vacation. So I'm in my head thinking, I have a 30-second window where the thing that I'm doing is no longer capable of being done. I need to fill it with something else. And even if it's just scrolling on Instagram or something, I'm not getting anything of substance, but I will literally open up Instagram on my phone, scroll through a little bit, do some stories, close Instagram. And sometimes within a minute, I will have forgotten that I was just on Instagram and I will open Instagram again. Sometimes I'm looking just to see if I have all Instagram notifications turned off on my phone. And sometimes I'm looking just to see if there's a new message from somebody or there's a new comment on a post.
Yeah, that's wild. But they say like what we're talking about. It's I don't know. If I think it's a fact, but it says you can't think about two things at the same time. So like while you're thinking about Japan and you're in like what you're trying to get together, like opening up that phone makes you forget it, right?
Well, and that's the thing. So if I'm trying to do something for, the project, I don't want to talk about what the project is yet,
Yeah.
but if I'm thinking about the project that I'm doing and then I open my phone, instantly the idea of this thing I'm working on is gone. And
Yeah.
I'm now focusing on whatever it is that I'm doing on my phone, whether it's responding to emails, whether it's looking to see if there's comments on posts, or just scrolling, doom scrolling. I can no longer think about and focus on the thing that I was focusing on. And in this instance, the project that I'm doing is not stressful. It's not something that's making me uncomfortable. In fact, it's something that I'm very excited about. But in terms of other things, existential dread, bills, relationship problems, work issues, all of those things that cause stressors to you can easily be blocked out once you find this other thing to provide you the dopamine that you're talking about.
Which is comfort.
Yeah. Or the avoidance of discomfort. And discomfort to a lot of people can feel like danger. And the reason is, I think the reason is our nervous systems are the real issue because the body doesn't allow the difference between discomfort and danger. So hunger feels threatening. Stillness feels loud. And that's my struggle right there is the stillness feels deafening. Like I should be doing something. Like there are things that need my attention that in this instance where I'm supposed to be relaxing or just enjoying the moment
Yeah.
feels like a missed opportunity. And I'm sure you've noticed this. How many times do you go to a concert and you see people holding up their phones?
All the time.
Every single time. And I know you've probably done it because I've done it too. How many times do you go back and actually watch those videos?
Unless if it's on my story on Instagram, probably never.
Never. And that's one of the things that I trip out on all the time. People filming fireworks. You're
Yeah.
never going to go back and rewatch those fireworks. But I think people feel uncomfortable with being in the moment. They
Yeah.
feel vulnerable sitting and watching a musical performance. But you notice people don't go to plays and film. I see people at yoga, literal hot yoga, where the whole point is to disconnect for 50 minutes and connect with your body, and they're on their phones. Even though the instructor is telling them, put your phone down, you're here, be present. But the idea of being present and vulnerable without a constant dopamine kick is scary to people. Loneliness feels unsafe. And we've talked about how loneliness can be a silent killer, but all of these things, the hunger, the stillness, the loneliness, the lack of constant engagement is an alarm. And the body says, we need to fix this right now. And the brain's threat system, the amygdala, lights up during emotional discomfort the same way it does during physical danger. So your body reacts like something's wrong, even when there's nothing actually wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to say something about the concert though. I trip out when people are filming the concert but looking through their phones while filming it. You know what I'm saying? Like at
100%.
least watch the concert in real time in real life instead of through a tiny screen, you know?
You know, I'm convinced that if venues were to live stream the concerts and charge people the same amount as a ticket, they would get a fortune off of that because so many people and it could be a number of things. One, you're unable to get there due to distance or social anxiety or anything like that. There are tons of people that can't make it to a concert or even the tickets sell out.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that sit and watch it through their phone without actually experiencing the moment, and I've tried to not do that anymore. There are some times where I mean it's 2026. We live in a social media world, which is disgusting and I hate it. But everyone has to document where they are or where they were at some point.
Yeah.
So I'll film a 30-second clip of a band playing and I'll post it on my story. And then I try and get right back into the thing. I've even noticed when I take pictures at concerts, it may be a cool picture, but I'm never going to do anything with it. I'm not a photographer and especially not on my phone. I'm not going to end up printing these things out. And
Uh,
like, so it leads a lot of it into anxiety and restlessness because a lot of people feel anxiety about something. And the way our society is built these days, it really feeds into and contributes to the feeling of anxiety, feeling like you're not enough, feeling like you're missing out, feeling like you're judged on things that you did or didn't do. And that's part of the restlessness too. That's part of the restlessness I feel. My restlessness is based on the anxiety that I could be doing things that I'm not doing, that I could be bettering some kind of situation. I could be furthering or strengthening a business contact. I could be reaching out to another business contact, trying to build this relationship. And these are some of the things that we experience a lot with early sobriety too. We talk about having to rebuild your life, having to shed all your old friends, trying to figure out who you are as a person. And that's terrifying. So basically, what you're doing for maybe not the first time in your life, but close to the first time is you're finally saying, I am going to face these discomforts head on without the aid of alcohol, without the aid of comfort foods, without the aid of weed or cigarettes or meth or sex or whatever.
yeah.
And that's a terrifying thing for a lot of people.
Well, we talked about, I don't think it was last show, but the show before, we talked about how Anxiety comes from the past or from the future, and then depression comes from the past.
Right.
So like, it's just even when you're thinking about all that stuff you were saying, like oh, meeting new people, like I'm just gonna like go. You should just what comes comes. Like just live your day like as in the present. And if you end up meeting someone, take it, and then try your best. But don't think about meeting somebody because then you're going to get anxiety. And then when you do finally meet these people, you're probably going to be thinking about it. And then you're going to end up having your anxiety is going to come in. And then those people might think that you might be different than you really are.
Yeah. So
You're just living in the past or living in the future.
what discomfort hits you the hardest?
Uh, Probably loneliness, I would say.
Yeah.
Just I mean, but it's not as bad as it used to be. But like say for example, I'm at the moment I'm not working and I haven't been working and I've been home a lot, which is leading me to be on my phone a lot, which is leading me to watch Netflix and and stuff like that when normally I'd be working like 10, 12-hour days, which I wouldn't really have time to think about what's really going on. So it's just right now my thing is just staying home, not really being physically active, and just being not like I'm not being lazy, but I'm being a lot more lazier than my body is used to. And then that's what I'm saying with the whole 6 hour screen time with me is it's bad right now just because I mean that's all I've been doing and it's I mean I and I'm just giving myself excuses, but um, I'm aware of it and I am going to fix it. It's just a matter of it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. So I mean, so it sounds like you're saying the loneliness is the hardest for you and you find ways to take your mind off of the loneliness.
Yeah. But what's yours though?
Mine is stagnation, 100%. Um, you know, it branches off into a lot of things that stem from discomfort. So I think I've talked about on the show before how growing up, my family didn't have a lot of money. And one of the most painful things that I could experience as a kid was hearing my mom say, "We don't have money for that," or "We need to wait till the next paycheck." And that hit me in such a way that I never want to be in that situation again. And so I'm constantly trying to be on my hustle, for lack of a better phrase. I'm always trying to find a way that I can build myself as a brand, that I can build whatever I'm doing, that I can constantly be moving and working just so I can have a financial stability for myself and my wife and our many pets, and not ever have that discomfort that I had as a kid, because I know how hard that was for my mom and I know how hard it was for me to hear it. So I can only imagine how hard it was for her to say it. And I mentioned that to her recently and she fully agreed. And seeing the way my brothers are with money versus the way I am with money is mind blowing to me. But stagnation in general. So when I went through my divorce was when I really started to get really busy, because when I was with my ex-wife, we would kind of just do things together. We would smoke a lot of weed and we were fine with just chilling and doing absolutely nothing. But once I was on my own, that's when I realized how much time I had just to think about life, about myself, about who I am as a person. And, you know, being 2 years sober at that point, I was still discovering who I was as a person, but now I had to discover who I was as an individual versus part of a unit, and
It's over.
and sober. And so I always joked when people would comment on how busy that I was, that I had to keep running because if I didn't, my demons would catch up to me. And that's one of the things I think a lot of us are trying to deal with, is that if we stop doing whatever it is that we're doing, doom scrolling, weed smoking, drinking, random sex, that we're eventually going to have to face ourselves. And that's one of the most terrifying things that we can do. So I'm at a much better place now, mentally and emotionally, than I was almost 5 years ago. But I'm still so busy right now because if I don't have something to work on, I'm constantly worried about falling into old habits, just getting bored, getting lethargic and lazy, and losing motivation for things. And I mean, I've got a band going right now. I've got this podcast. I have an idea for a fun, not so serious podcast I want to do. I have this Tokyo project that I'm doing. I have my ads that I'm doing on a regular basis. I'm constantly trying to take trips. I just do not have enough hours in the day. And I kind of love that because
Yeah.
it's keeping me from facing all of this other stuff, thinking about myself as an individual, because I have too many other things to worry about.
It keeps you from thinking about what could happen.
Yeah, exact. Or wondering what I should be doing. And then if I'm wondering about what I should be doing, I wonder about why I'm not doing it. And then it starts to get deeper and mental. And, I should probably see a therapist, but, you know, it's
Well, I
funny.
mean, like a lot of people would say your problem isn't that like I mean, because it sounds like it's actually a good thing because you're like you don't have time to like fail, but you also don't have time for the little things like I mean you do, but you like
No,
put the
no, you're 100% right. I don't have the times for the little things.
yeah,
I really there are so many times where I sit and think about I consider myself a good friend and a bad friend at the same time. I'm a friend that has your back and I'll do anything I can for you and I'm always there when you need me, but I'm a really bad friend in the sense of making time for people and checking in. My wife always says that I'm one of the busiest people she's ever met, and somehow I still constantly make time for her. I make time to make her feel special and spend time with her and all of that. But she is one of the only people that I do that for.
yeah,
I want to reach out to all my other friends. I want to send them texts and just see how they're doing. I want to stay engaged with their lives and be a constant fixture in people's lives. But I don't have time. And so many people are bad about reaching out to others for anxiety reasons or depression reasons or just lack of interest. And I'm a big believer in if you want to, you will. And it makes me worry that I don't want to. I know that I do, but it's just not something that I prioritize.
no, you do. You just said it yourself. Like you just but you just you're busy, bro. You really are.
Right. Well, but I mean, so here's the thing. So you're always telling me, "Oh, you should come, you should come visit and we'll go do this, we'll go do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, that sounds cool. Like, let's do that at some point." But then
Yeah.
I don't make any plans to do it. But if you were like, "Yo, man, I was out driving, my car broke down. Can you come pick me up and take me to a shop?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm on my way." When it's something that you need, if you need a friend to be there, I'm there. But when it comes to keeping that relationship strong and and being there emotionally and physically, I it's yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that eventually.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
when I make those plans, I don't really make them like, oh, this time, this time, this time. It's just an idea, you know? So it's not really you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I'm not giving you like a deadline or anything like that. I'm just bringing it up in
Oh no,
general.
no, I know. But I recognize this about myself and
Yeah, yeah.
it's something I want to be better about, but again, it's a discomfort that I don't do this. So then I find ways to deal with that discomfort. And the healthy way would be reaching out to my friends and trying to be there. But then I worry that the amount of time and effort I put into friendships isn't going to be reciprocated. And then that's even more crushing than feeling like I'm not putting in enough time because then I'm thinking I'm spending the time to want to strengthen this bond with this person and they're not matching my energy. Is it something wrong with me? You know,
Yeah.
but it's,
You
it's
know,
a,
all in reality, everyone's is in their own life and everyone's just like, you know, everyone's busy. Like
yeah. Well,
which
but
is
that's, and not only that, we live in a comfort culture. We prioritize zero friction living. We live in a zero friction world where we can get food anytime. We have entertainment nonstop. There's no waiting. If people have to wait for their food for longer than 3 minutes, suddenly it ruins their day. And yet, anxiety, depression, and addiction are everywhere. And I think we've lost the tolerance for discomfort altogether. you
yep.
know my wife was telling me the other day about a client who had come in and had a 3 o'clock appointment. They were running a little bit late, so it was about 3:20, and suddenly this guy's sitting in the waiting room, mumbling, grumbling, talking about how this has ruined his whole day. And my wife works in vet care, so they provide a very valuable service. But if your day is so jam packed that you're only allocating 20 minutes to take care of your pet's needs, you're going to a vet. So obviously it's an important thing. But he's grumbling, talking about how this has ruined his whole day and it's costing him money. And it's just nobody is comfortable with waiting. And I'm right there too. I hate waiting. I hate lines. I hate things not working smoothly. I could be having the greatest day in the world. And if I get in traffic,
Uh,
I'm ready to punch through my windshield. It makes no sense to me. I think it is the epitome of human stupidity and selfishness, and just people not wanting to merge, not wanting to be safe, not wanting to do this, staring at stuff off the road drives me crazy. I have to stop myself now because if I start talking about traffic, I'm just gonna
well, you said it hit me when you said the food. Like if food doesn't come in like 10 minutes, that's what starts like grinding my gears, dude.
right,
But but like I came from the restaurant industry, so it's like I start over analyzing everything, and then I'm like, oh, is this intentional? And then it's just like, but it's like I should just be having a conversation with whoever I'm there with, you know. But it's just
right.
that's my biggest is the food, dude. It's like even in like 10 minutes isn't even that long either. It's like after 10 minutes I start getting frustrated.
Well, and in addition to the frustration, you're talking about how you should just be having a conversation with the person that you're there with. But there's
Yeah.
been tons of studies on dopamine that show that constant stimulation actually lowers baseline satisfaction. So the more comfort we consume, the less resilient we become. So the more we're on our phones and just getting whatever information we want right away. The fact that there's Amazon where you can get stuff delivered to your house within a couple of hours. They have a new feature where you pay an extra $4 and it'll be delivered within 3 hours. The fact that we live in a society where everything is right now, this second, instant gratification, no waiting, means that it's harder for us to become comfortable with the things outside of the immediate. So having a conversation with somebody, sitting down and enjoying a good meal, realizing that, yeah, you could have food fast or you could have good food. It doesn't usually come the same because having something that's quality takes time, it takes effort. And that's a big thing for us. So, phones, social media, constant distractions, it makes it so that we have this constant stream of dopamine, and living in the moment, like you mentioned with the concerts, is a frightening thing.
Mhm.
We've forgotten what it means. And having food anytime, we hear constantly about food deserts where there's no food readily available for people and people will have to drive 30 minutes to get to a grocery store, not even considering countries where food is scarce and you may not know when or if your next meal is going to come from. The homeless people or houseless people who don't always know if they're going to get a next meal. And yet, and I'm guilty of this too, because when I'm looking in my refrigerator, I don't want to cook something. I want something that I can grab, eat right away, maybe throw in the microwave. Even if I'm getting a burrito, the idea of getting out of the car to get it versus going through the drive-through is unthinkable. And I'm so fortunate that I have 24-hour burrito drive-throughs nearby. But yeah, so what do you think makes recovery harder now than it would have, 30 years ago, before we lived in a time of instant gratification and everything available at your fingertips?
Uh, sh- well, like you said, just the instant gratification part that could lead to new addictions. You know what I'm saying? Like before, like a long time ago, you just had the basic like food, sex, drugs, I would imagine.
Mm.
Now there's just like that times like a million. So it feels like it's a lot. Back then it was like there's only a few options. Now there's just like endless supply of dopamine hits that you could get from food to phone to like OnlyFans to just like any of that stuff. It's just it's a lot easier. It's all in your hands. Like and like you said too, with like, dude, Amazon they're gonna start doing like drone deliveries and
That's
just
crazy. I can't wait until those start getting shot out of the air and people start stealing packages.
but yeah, so I think it's a lot easier to get and there's a lot more things that could get you distracted
Right.
than
Well, and I think adding on to the things being a lot easier to get, we constantly talk about replacing one addiction with another. Before we had this instant gratification information at your fingertips, you had to go out and find that thing.
yep.
So if I'm thinking, oh, I want to start trying whittling or woodworking, I can instantly search any information. I can have a woodworking kit delivered to my house the same day. Whereas before, you would have to go out, you would have to do research, you would have to go to a couple different stores, you would have to actually put in time and effort to figuring out this thing that you want to do. And that alone starts getting you out of your comfort zone because you're now researching something new. You're putting time and energy into this versus like, I literally have a whittling kit that I ordered a year and a half ago because I thought I wanted to do it. It's still in the box, never even opened, never even looked at any of the stuff. Just thought I wanted to do it. So the fact that everything is readily available, you can hop from addiction to addiction so much easier. And I think the other thing that makes recovery so much harder now than it did before is the ability to compare yourself to others, which again leads to more discomfort.
Yeah.
You know, in the early 80s, you would compare yourself to people on TV and people in magazines.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, you could change the channel. It's you see a wide range of people, and still you could develop unhealthy addictions and unhealthy body image and things like that back then, but it was less in your face. Now, not only are you seeing celebrities and media personalities everywhere you look, but you're seeing influencers whose sole job is to make you feel like you need a product or you're not good enough because you're not doing or having or experiencing this specific thing. And in addition to that, you're now comparing yourselves to people you know because I'm just going to use you as an example. When you post on social media, and I'm not saying you do this, I'm just using you as an example.
Okay.
So when you post on social media, people tend to do one of two things. They either post only their best lives. This is how happy I am with my partner. This is how excited I am to be on this trip. Look at me enjoying this delicious food. Or they catastrophize everything where it's, oh, of having trouble at work again. I feel like I hate this job. I want to leave. Oh, of course, now my car breaks down. They only focus on the negative.
Yeah.
So when you're on there and you're seeing your friends' lives and you think, oh, I'm keeping up to date on Luke's life, I'm keeping up to date on what Luke's doing, you start comparing yourself. Well, how come Luke is happy with his partner and I'm not? How come Luke is taking this trip to Mexicali and I'm still stuck at home? How come Luke is eating this delicious food and I'm eating a hot pocket for the fifth day in a row?
Yep.
So you start comparing yourselves and then you feel uncomfortable with that and you feel this need to fix something or to numb this voice in your head. And then that continues on to drinking and smoking and addiction and all this other stuff.
Yeah, when you shouldn't be comparing yourself at all. And Instagram's bad with that, dude, because it is true. Like you either post your highs or your lows. You're right about that. And then a lot of people are just like, damn, this guy has a great life when all reality is just a basic normal life. But
Well,
he's
they're
only thinking
they're
about it.
telling the story they want you to see.
Yeah.
they're painting themselves in a more positive light. I saw this video this morning about the biggest liar on TikTok, and it was this girl who was obsessed with her car and then suddenly said she wanted to make a movie about it, and then said that Hot Wheels reached out to her and A24 was going to have her direct a movie about her car, and it all turned out to be a lie. But if you didn't know that, suddenly you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, this small town girl from nowhere that just has this really cool car from 19 it was a 1961 Dodge Lancer. And granted, it was a fire car. It looked dope. I don't care about cars, but that was a cool car. But you start thinking, oh, just this girl from the middle of nowhere, Montana, has a cool car. And now suddenly she's getting all these brand deals. She's going to direct a movie for one of the biggest film production companies in the world. Turns out it was all bullshit, but you start comparing yourself to people. And a lot of people do that with their body, and that leads to comfort addiction and weight loss, because so many people say they want to lose weight, but they're not willing to feel hungry. They want to lose the weight, but they don't want to do the workouts, or they do, but then they quit when they're sore, and they choose convenience over effort. And I do that myself. I'll buy a 10-pound bag of seitan just so I have this thing where I could just throw it in the microwave and eat it, versus actually making my own seitan or making dinners at home. I'll go out and get a veggie burrito. And the fat loss is just repeated, chosen discomfort. That's all it is. You're actually choosing to put your body through something uncomfortable to reach your goal. And your body doesn't change in comfort, it changes in resistance. We've talked about that all the time, that the pain and discomfort is what leads to growth.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, cravings are pretty. I mean, it's just controlling them. I would say, like, well, it's and it comes down to what we're talking about from the. It's just comfort. Like if you were like I for me, like if I'm sitting on my couch and then I get like the thoughts in my head of like, oh, like um let me go get some popcorn or something, just like a snack, you know? When like
Mm-hmm.
if I was busy or if I wasn't comfortable, I wouldn't have time or I wouldn't think of, that I was even hungry, which most of the time you're not hungry, you know? So it's just like when you're comfort, you have these addictions and you have these cravings pop up when if you're if you're doing other things, they wouldn't pop up or not as strong. I would, to make you actually go up and solve your cravings problem.
How long do you think people need to stay uncomfortable before it starts to get easier?
Probably years, bro. It's just
Years.
yeah, you just got to get used to it, and it comes with I mean, at first it starts with discipline every day, bro, and then discipline. Because if you're disciplined, then you're not comfortable. You're comfort with the discipline, but yeah, I would say years for sure. Like if you did the same thing every single day for a year or two, but like that's the thing. Like say you do, for me, this is my problem. Like I'll do the same thing every day for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then I have one slip up, then it will lead to the one slip up a week, and then it will lead to like, oh, maybe two slips up a week, two slip ups a week, which will lead to like a slip up every single day and so I get back on the grind.
Right.
So it's discipline, dude. Like it's yeah. So I would say if because I mean, for me, when I quit drinking, the first year was easy for me because I felt like I had to prove to everybody, even though I should have been proving it to myself. That first year was easy for me. The second year was hard because now I was doing it for myself. You know what I'm saying? Because everyone that I thought I was doing it for didn't really care, or at the time didn't seem like it even. So then the second year was about me. Like and then the third, so like I feel like the first year is easy, but the second year is hard, and then the third year is like when you start like getting control of it. So I would say just like I said, like years to get out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, you were mentioning the 3-year timeline with Katie on the last episode.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you mentioned Excuse me. It's funny that you mentioned the slip up becoming a slip up every day because basically what you're talking about is relapse.
Yeah, happens all
And
the time.
one, especially in early sobriety is raw. Like you have to just go into that and just suffer. And I know it doesn't sound glamorous, but guess what? Recovery is not glamorous. So early sobriety, you're suffering. There's no numbing. The emotions start to surface, emotions that you haven't felt in a long time. When I quit smoking weed, and I think I've said this a lot, if I took a break from weed the first week, I had horrible depression and I knew that was coming.
Yeah,
And that's why I did it before I went to Japan the first time, was because I didn't want to be depressed in Japan. And it's because you start having all of these dopamine receptors that are constantly flooded that are now empty, and your body has to learn how to produce basically happy feelings again. And so the emotions surface, the boredom gets loud because now the thing that you would do when you're bored is gone. And relapse isn't usually people saying I want to ruin my life. It's people saying I want to break from feeling like this. And people relapse because they want relief. So the slip ups that you're talking about, that's how it happens easily. You know, we had a guest on this show. I think she's doing well again, but she's had a couple slip ups, a couple relapses, and she always beats herself up. But when she tells the story about what happened, it always seems like she had just gotten to a point where the boredom was too much, where the feeling of uncertainty and the anxiety, even though she's happy in the new life that she's living, it seems that she just gets to a point where she kind of needs something to break that.
yeah,
She's tired of trying to find new solutions of I'm going to go to the park, I'm going to try doing this, I'm going to take myself out for ice cream. Suddenly there's something else. This thing, this addiction that you've been trying to fight is just telling you I can make this easier. I can take the edge off. And then it does, but then the next day you feel all these other emotions again, the guilt, the shame, the regret, and you start wondering if you can do it. You start wondering if if you're good enough or if this is just who you are. And early recovery shows heightened stress responses because the brain hasn't recalibrated yet. And that's why early sobriety feels so emotionally overwhelming, and why a lot of people don't make it to the 3 month point where you start to just think as a new person.
yeah. And I think it's like I said, I was different because I felt like I had something to prove for my first year. And then when I realized I shouldn't have been proving it to nobody but myself is when I really clocked in. And then what you were saying about boredom is so boredom, it leads to desires, which leads to vices. Like, and then no matter what that vice is, like it could be eating fucking red velvet cake. You know what I'm saying? It's all the same. But it's just um yeah, um you just when it like I've said this like a bunch of times already, but it all comes down to like the whole topic of this episode is comfort, being comfortable. You got to get out of your comfort zone.
So you had mentioned that, the first year you felt like you were doing it for others or something.
I felt like I had to prove it to people because even though I don't know what was going on with my brain, but I just felt like because I mean like if we could go back in time and ask anybody that I was like associating myself with, if you would have asked them, oh, this guy's gonna be sober in the next 15 years, they would like laugh in your face. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I wasn't the one that no one was thinking would have done that. I was the last, if anything. So that's what I'm saying. Like my first year was like not proving it to me, which I should have been, but it was proving it to the people who ended up not even being in my life at the end. You know what I'm saying?
So what made you stay the course the whole time?
Because I knew where it was gonna end up. Like there's it's only if the reason why I don't drink is because I'm going to end up in jail, in prison, or or dead or on the run. Like there's just it might take years, it might take days, but it's all there's only one, and I know it deep in my soul. I know it that's because I have no control over myself when I'm drinking. So like I know even if 15 years has gone by, it's still in me, and so it's yeah, it was proving it to. I just wanted to like it came down to just I probably did it to for these people to be proud of me and like all that, and then but that never came. You know what I'm saying? Which was a learning
Yeah.
experience.
One, then ultimately you trained yourself to deal with the discomfort,
Yeah,
the
which is
discomfort of not drinking, the discomfort of being yourself, the discomfort of learning how to fit in social situations without being the drunk funny guy or the guy.
that's what it's all about. Like that's just sobriety is learning who you are.
Yeah. And it's uncomfortable, but you know what? Discomfort is a muscle and you got to train it. You don't build it in one moment, you build it through constant reps. And that could be for any number of things: exposure to cold, constantly eating hot food, walking tired, eating simple, lifting heavy, learning to sit in silence and just be alone with your thoughts. Repeated exposure to controlled stress actually lowers baseline anxiety, and the nervous system learns, I can handle this. And there's some people, so I thrive in chaos, right? Like if everything feels like it's falling apart, that's when I'm able to just lock in and focus, and I can compartmentalize, I can schedule, I figure all this stuff out. And that's when I'm at my absolute best, is when the world is on fire.
Yeah,
And that's because I've lived through this. I've learned how, talking about growing up with no money, I learned how to be uncomfortable without money. So that way, when I have it, I learn how to really value what I want, what I need, how to make sure I'm set up for the future. I can be uncomfortable financially. When I lost a whole bunch of weight, I already knew what it felt like to be uncomfortable as a really morbidly obese person. And I knew how much I hated that. So I was trading one discomfort for the other, where instead of being out of breath and having my knees hurt walking upstairs, I just made myself uncomfortable by not reaching for that extra slice of pizza, for not eating an extra scoop of ice cream. And it sucks, yeah, but that's how you learn to do it. I've gotten to the point where I can handle so much other stuff, which is why I love planning trips. Other people get anxiety when they have to think about even booking a hotel. But I'm like, I got this. I'm going to book the flights. I'm going to find the lowest rate one. I'm going to get the hotel. I'm going to make sure we're in a good location where we've got, a gym nearby, and we've got breakfast situated. We've got this, we've got that. We're close to transport, everything. And I can handle all of that stuff. And people love going on trips with me because they don't have to worry about anything. But that's how I thrive. And part of that is actually a control issue, which, we'll get into that
I have the
another
same
time.
problem. Same problem.
Well, yeah, man, because what's really uncomfortable for me is not being able to fix things that need to be fixed.
For sure.
So I've learned about myself that if I allow other people to do things, I have to be comfortable with however they do it.
Yeah.
And I get uncomfortable with that. If somebody books a place and the hotel sucks, it's like, what do you do then? Do you give this person grief because they didn't pick a hotel that's better? Do you just sit there in silence? And I don't like it. I don't like when things don't run as smoothly as they're supposed to. So I tend to take on a lot of things myself just to ensure that they'll get done properly.
Yeah. No, it's if you go on vacation with people who don't plan like that, well, for me, it's like I remember going on vacation and like just having we're gonna like you plan for one thing and then that time comes and then you're not doing it and you're just like so it's
Yep. Wait, I thought we were going to do this.
yeah, and then you
You know,
end up doing the complete opposite. It's just like I can't. It's hard for me to do that as well.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen me do it with the show where I basically want to do everything. And I leave stuff to you. I'm like, hey, you do this. And it's because I know that one, I have to, it's a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
But also if I start taking on other stuff, I'm just gonna be like, why am I doing everything?
No, no, I get you.
It's hard.
That's why I only have one job is to know the number of what show it is.
Yep. And speaking of hard, people need to rewrite the meaning of the word hard because we're taught that hard equals bad and that pain equals wrong. And that's not always true. I mean, look at the saying, no pain, no gain, right? Because
Yeah.
in recovery and fitness, hard is the way that shows you're growing. It shows that you're progressing. It shows that things aren't the way they used to be. Hard is the doorway to success. And stress followed by recovery is literally how adaptation happens physically, mentally, no pain, no gain, no stress, no change. And that's the thing that a lot of people are afraid of. And that's why a lot of people are willing to quit things that are good for them so early on, is because they're finally forced to face that discomfort that they've been avoiding all this time by either finding things that just make them feel good, like drugs, doom scrolling, etc. Most people don't want to do the work. And a lot of the time, it's because that work is uncomfortable.
Yeah. And a lot of time you're not ready for it. Like if like we've discussed in this podcast many times, it's like when you're ready, you know you are, and then right then and there, you don't wait for the next day to like, oh, I'm gonna quit for New Year's. It's like you're gonna quit right then and there. And
Mm.
that's like I said, most people aren't ready. But when they are, it's when you start seeing the change and then you get off the comfort, you get out of the comfort zone. Because that is the only way for you to change is to step into discomfort on a daily basis.
Well, and part of that, so you're on your sober for life Instagram, you're constantly posting quotes that deal with mindset, and a lot of it reflects on how it's hard to change your state of mind, but it's harder to stay in something that's not good for you, that's not healthy or conducive to a happy life. And a lot of
Yeah,
those quotes hit because people don't think about that. They don't think about how they're living in a situation they're unhappy with because it's easier. You know, when like I was talking about my ex-wife earlier, nothing bad happened between us. We just got married at a very young age and we grew into completely different people. And we were unhappy for the last while, but we stayed together because it was the easier thing to do. We'd already joined our finances. We already had so much time behind us. And to everyone else, we just looked like this happy, healthy couple. But inside, we were suffering because neither one of us was getting our needs met, but it was just easier to stay together. And the fear of starting over again was way too much to think about until that actually became, I hate to say the lesser of two evils, but the lesser of two evils. We were
yeah.
just,
The only
yeah, it was the only option. We just realized that in order for both of us to be happy, we weren't going to be able to do it together. And if one of us was going to be happy, the other would be sacrificing too much. And that's when the fear and the discomfort of this new step outweighs the uncomfortability of the step that you're in. So sometimes you're just going from
yeah.
one uncomfortable thing to another, but it's for the net good. And
Yeah.
that's
Your body, I mean, if you force it, like if you put yourself into these uncomfortable positions, your body's gonna eventually thrive and like it'll become an addiction itself. Um, but like with any addiction, you can't do too much of it.
yeah. I mean, and changing your mindset, that's one of the hardest things you can do, whether it be about what you're capable of, whether it be about politics or political issues, whether it be about just your day-to-day life. It's one of the hardest things you can do, and that's honestly one of the most important steps to recovery, is being able to change the way you view things, being able to see that yes, you can do this, or no, you don't need to do that, or this thing that I love so much is actually very unhealthy for me. Because in reality, when it comes down to it, you're not broken, you're not weak. You've just been trained for comfort in a world that requires resilience, and we all have. And the more comfortable you get being uncomfortable, the less power addiction has over you. So do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Step outside of your comfort zone. Talk to a stranger on the street. Go for a jog in the morning. put down the extra slice of pizza and tell yourself, I'm going to drink water because I already feel satisfied. I don't need to feel full. Tell yourself, man, I'm bored, but instead of picking up my phone or smoking a joint, I'm going to try talking to my partner. I'm going to try just sitting and thinking during this commercial. Do something that scares you today.
Yeah. Hey, what's one uncomfortable thing you would challenge someone to choose today?
Get up and be active. I know that's hard, especially, I mean, nobody's going to hear this today, but today is the Super Bowl. Getting up and being active, especially on a day like today, where you've got your whole day planned and your day basically involves showing up at your friend's house at 10 a.m., cracking open that first Bud Light, and then just eating a bunch of garbage and then being pissed off at something that doesn't actually, you know what? No, that's what I'm going to say, because you can do this any day. Let go of something that would normally piss you off.
Okay.
And that's going to be hard. I do that all the time. And my wife is constantly worried about me having a heart attack or popping a blood vessel in my brain, especially in traffic, because I will get so mad at bad drivers. And I'm just sitting there yelling. I'm like, this, da 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 da, like, learn to drive. I wish I could just have a battering ram so I could run you off the road. But that learning to like understand that people more than likely aren't doing that intentionally. And yes, maybe they're distracted. Maybe it's because we've all been there where you have somebody that's driving way too slow and you get super annoyed and just want to cause harm to this person. And then you get up next to them and you see that it's a little old man or a little old lady. And suddenly you feel like a dick.
Or it's the opposite. Someone's on their phone looking down.
If
Like,
it's someone that's on their phone, you are totally justified in ramming them off the road. There you go. I'm not advocating that you do it for legal reasons, but I don't think any jury would convict you.
I'm not advocating it at all. The road rage is not good.
Yeah. So that would be the thing that I would encourage you to do today. Let go of one thing that would normally piss you off and realize that you can't always control everything, and learn to just be okay with the world. I know it's hard, especially in this political climate, in this time of divisiveness, but learning to just let go of something and understand that not everything needs to be perfect. That's what I would challenge you to do, because not everybody's ready to give up their addiction. Not everybody's ready to face the biggest discomfort they've ever had. But learning to be uncomfortable in one situation is a good first step.
Yeah.
What about you? What would you challenge someone to do today that would make them uncomfortable?
Uh, I mean, I would say, I mean, it's like the most common stuff, but I mean, just sit in silence for like an hour, I would say. So, I was gonna say get off your phones, but I mean that's cliche. But just sit in silence, be alone with your thoughts. You can meditate, you don't have to. But it's just listen to yourself, and you're usually the person talking to you is the right person to listen to. And if it's not, you would know if it's not. Trust me.
Yeah. Well, they from what you said, as a whole, the Strong and Sober podcast, we challenge you to put your phone down. And I recognize the irony that you're probably listening to this show on your phone, but realistically, you're not doing it when you're around other people. So if you're at the dinner table, have dinner with your partner with or your family without the use of your phone. If
Yeah.
you're out at a concert, get off your phone and enjoy the music. If you're at hot yoga, your phone shouldn't even be in the yoga room because it can't handle that kind of heat. And also, you're ruining the experience for everyone else. Learn to be in the moment. I know it's very uncomfortable, but from the Strong and Sober podcast, we challenge you to do that today. In
Yeah.
addition to sitting with your thoughts, in addition to letting go of one thing that would normally piss you off, there are 3 things that you can do to start your journey into self acceptance and recovery that are going to make you uncomfortable, but it's a good starting point.
Yeah. It's good to feel uncomfortable, and I mean, the way I see it is that it's better to start now than later. Like it really is because when you're older and it's what all you know, it's gonna be way harder. But when like to stop. So I would just say yeah, so it's like it's stop as soon as possible because it's either you're gonna have to stop or you're gonna be forced to stop. I
Yeah,
would say.
whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
Well, that has been episode 30 of the Strong and Sober podcast. We hope you found it informative or entertaining, or, maybe you just like the sound of our voices and it soothes you to sleep. Either way, we would invite you to please comment and rate the show and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps us get in front of more eyes, more ears, and helps us help more people, which is ultimately the reason we're doing this, because putting yourself out there in a public medium is uncomfortable. I
Yep.
mean, not for me because I've been doing this for years, but still, it's uncomfortable. And we also invite you to reach out to us. You can follow us on Instagram at Strong and Sober Podcast. You could follow Luke on Instagram. I'm pointing down, but I know when the video said it's going to be over there. You can follow Luke on Instagram at Luke Weaver, LVKE Weaver. You can follow me at Maddie Ding Dong. You could also follow Luke's sobriety page at sober.4L. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, success stories, or you want to be a guest on this show, you can send us an email at strongandsoberpodcast@gmail.com. That is the greatest way to do that.
Oh, you should plug your clothing company.
I do have a clothing company called Deadlifts Gym Wear.
Uh,
My Instagram, I have not really been doing anything on the Instagram, but it's at Deadlifts Gym Wear. And if you are interested in purchasing one of my shirts, you can hit me up on there. I also have deadliftsgymwear.com, but I downgraded my store, so I haven't even been on there. I don't know what's on there, but just send me a message on Instagram and you can buy one of the shirts. They're super cool. It's about resilience and training, and it's a little bit of a horror theme, also with some gym gear in there in case you don't want to be like every other dork wearing a Wolves shirt and dark sport.
I like it.
Yeah, I love them. So yeah, that is the Strong and Sober Podcast, episode 30 for Lucas Weaver. I'm Maddie Ding Dong. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, stay Ooh, I messed that up for the first time ever. Stay strong, stay sober, and stay tuned. And we'll see you next week. Addiction took my paychecks, took my name, took my shaking hands, my second